Alright, I'm going to continue with chapter 23, and that is titled Strange Answers. Lawyer Plum was there in one pair of ears when Otis Amber danced into the game room. He, the turtle's lost its tail, I see. Turtle slumped low in her chair. Flora Baumbach thought the short, sleek haircut was adorable, especially the way it swept forward over her little chin. But Turtle did not want to look adorable. She wanted to look mean. The dressmaker fumbled past the wad of money in her handbag. Here, Alice, I thought you might like to see this. Turtle glanced at the old snapshot. It's Baba, all right, except younger. Same smile. Suddenly she sat upright. That's my daughter, Rosalie, Flora Baumbach said. She must have been 9 or 10 when the picture was taken. Rosalie was squat and square and squinty. Her protruding tongue was too large for her mouth, and her head lolled to one side. I think I would have liked her, Baba, Turtle said. Rosalie looks like she would have been a very happy person. She must have been nice to have around. Thump, 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 thump. Here come the victims, Slidell Pulaski announced. Angela greeted her sister with a wave of crimson-streaked healing hand. Turtle had convinced her not to confess. It would mean a criminal record. It would kill her mother, and no one would believe her anyhow. I like your haircut. Thanks, Turtle replied. Now Angela had to love her forever. Most of her heirs had to comment on Turtle's hair. You look like a real businesswoman, Sandy said. Well, that's an improvement, Denton Deer said. You look nice, Chris said. Only Theo bent over the chessboard said nothing. White had moved the king's bishop since the last meeting. It was his move. At last the stairs turned from Turtle's hair to more surprising sight. Judge Ford strode in as regularly as an African princess, her noble head in a turban, her tall body draped in yards of hand-printed cloth. She slipped a note into Denton Deer, then sailed into her place at table 4. Google-eyed, Otis Amber was speechless. They all were, except for Sandy. Gee, that is a nifty outfit, Judge. Is that what you call ethnic? The judge did not reply. Applaud, the local hero has arrived. Doug raised his arms, pointing his index fingers to the flaking gilt ceiling in the number 1 sign, and acknowledged the clapping with a victory lap around the room. Here come the Wexlers, Mr. Hume remarked, seating his puzzled wife at table 1. Turtle exchanged an anxious glance with Angela. The last time they saw her mother, she was crying her head off. Now the tears were gone from her bleary eyes, but she was staggering and giggling. Her hair was a mess. Sorry we're late, Jake apologized. We lost track of time. Then had been clinking wine glasses in a small cafe. Or they had been. The cafe they used to go to before they were married, toasting good times. They had many good times together, many good memories shared, and it seems 3 big wine bottles full. Happy Grace waved at their heirs. She felt so wonderful, so overflowing with love for Jake and for everybody. Hi, Mom, Turtle called. Grace blinked at a young, short-haired girl. Who's that? Jake greeted his partner with a, How are you on this fine day? Doug Wynne, replied Madame Who. Having opened the door to the last of the heirs, a tense and troubled Crow took her seat next to Otis Amber. Ghost threatened, she waited for the unseen. Hey, lawyer. Can we open these? Otis Amber shouted, waving an envelope. A similar envelope lay on each table. His forehead creased with uncertainty. Ed Plum fumbled through his papers. I guess so, was his opinion. Cheers erupted as the heirs withdrew the checks. Again, Judge Ford signed her name to the $10,000 check and handed it to the doorman. Here you are, Mr. McSuthers. This should tide you over until you find another job. Sandy's heartfelt thanks were muffled by Slidell Pulaski's loud shh, shh, Grace Wexler mimicked. She then dropped her head into her crossed arms on the table and fell asleep to the sound of the lawyer's throat-clearing coughs. 12th. Welcome again to the Westinghouse. By now you have received a second check for $10,000. Before this day is done, you may have one more, much more. Table by table, each pair will be called to give one and only one answer. The lawyer will record your response in a case of dispute. He does not know the answer. It is up to you. Number 1. Madame Sin Lu Hu. Cook. Jake Wexler. Bookie. Bookie. He really must have been distracted when he signed that receipt. Jake studied the 5 clues on the table. Of America and God above. Even knowing his wife's clues didn't help, he had to gamble on a long shot. Say something, he said to his partner. Boom, said Madame Who. Ed Plum wrote, table 1, boom. 2, Flora Baumbach, dressmaker, and Turtle Wexler, financer. Turtle read a prepared statement. In spite of the fact that the stock market dropped 30 points since we've arrived on our $10,000, we have increased our capital to $11,587, an appreciation of 27.8% calculated on an annual basis. Flora Baumbach slapped a wad of cash on the table and 2 clinking quarters, she said. Ed Plum asked them to repeat their answer. Table's 2 answer is $11,587. Sandy applauded. Turtle took a bow. Number 3, Chris Theodorakis, ornithologist, and Dr. Denton Deer, intern. Ornithologist? His brother must have given him that fancy title when he filled in the receipt. Maybe he would become an anthropologist some day. He was a lucky person getting that medicine and all. He didn't want to accuse anybody. Not Judge Ford, not Otis Amber, not the limper. Everybody limped at one time or another. Today Sandy was limping. I think Mr. Westing is a good man, Chris said aloud. I think his last wish was to do good deeds. He gave me a partner who helped me. He gave everybody the perfect partner to make friends. What is Table 3's answer? The lawyer asked. Denton Deer replied. Our answer is Mr. Westing was a good man. Number 4. J.J. Ford, Judge. Alexander McSuthers, fired. We don't have an answer, the ex-doorman responded as planned. The judge looked at Table 3. Denton Deer, her note in his hand, shook his head, which meant no. Otis Amber had not had plastic surgery done on his face. The judge turned to Table 6. Otis Amber could not be Sam Westing. She was right to have trusted him. But Crow is expecting something to happen. Crow knows she is the answer. She knows she is the one. Number 5. Grace Winslow Wexler, restaurateur, and James Hu, inventor. Grace raised her hand. Did someone say Winklopple? Never mind Winklopple. It's our turn, Hu snarled. The lawyer got names and positions all fouled up, and I've got a drunk for a partner. He prodded Grace to her feet. Faces were swirling, the floor was swaying. Grace grabbed the edge of the floating table and gave her answer in a thick, slurred voice. The newly decorated restaurant, Who's on First, the Eatery of Athletes, will hold its grand reopening on Sunday. Specialty of the day, fruited sea bass on purple waves. Grace sat down where the chair wasn't. Turtle gasped. Angela looked away. The heirs tittered as Jake helped her up from the floor. What is Table 5's answer, please? The lawyer pressed. Ed Plum, said Mr. Hu. Yes, sir? That's her answer. Ed Plum. Oh. 6. Erica Crow, mother, and Otis Amber, deliverer. Mother? Did I write mother? Crow mumbled. Is that your answer? Ed Plum asked. I don't know, Otis Amber replied. Is mother our answer? Crow, he could have sworn she had again signed the receipt, Good Salvation Soup Kitchen. Crow repeated mother, and that's what the lawyer wrote down. 7. Doug Hu Champ and Theo Ryder. Their clues, a chemical formula for an explosive, and the letters OTIS. Doug, basking in glory, didn't care. Theo stood up, turned to the man he was about to accuse, and saw the scene in the soup kitchen. Saw Otis Amber cooking soup for the dirty, hungry men. No answer, Theo said, sitting down. Sidell Pulaski, victim, Angela Wexler, person. Sidell was dressed for the occasion in red and white stripes, leaning on crunches decorated with white stars on a field of blue to match the cast on her ankle. She hummed into a pitch pipe and began to sing one note above the pitch she played. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. What a spectacle she had made, her wide rear end sticking out, singing in that tuneless nasal voice. The smiles soon faded. Pair by pair, the heirs heard their code words sung. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Such a beautiful song, Grace said, but the others sat in silence. Even Turtle thought Table 8 had won. What is your answer? Ed Plum asked. Our answer, said Elplas with certainty, is Otis Amber. The heirs listened to the lawyer read the next document, but their eyes stayed fixed on Table 8's answer, Otis Amber. 13th. Okay, folks, there will be a short break before the big winner is announced. Berth, Erica Crow, please rise and go to the kitchen for the refreshments. Dazed with fear, Crow rose. The 13th section. 13 was an unlucky number. Judge Ford told Sandy to follow her. Hey, Crow, old pal, do me a favor and fill this for me, he said, handing her a cup as they left the door. I'll go on the wagon starting tomorrow, promise. Angela left the room, too, concerned over Crow's trance-like state. Turtle followed Angela to make sure she didn't end up in the fireworks room again. The judge remained seated, watching the remaining heirs, who were watching Otis Amber. Delivery boy had enough of their suspicions. He swept a pointed finger across the range, imitating the sound of a machine gun. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Crow and Angela came back with 2 large trays. Turtle returned empty-handed, puzzled but much relieved. The judge joined Denton Deer and Chris at a Table 3, bringing a plate of small cakes with her. None of the heirs have had plastic surgery as far as I can tell, the intern remarked. But your partner sure could use some. The judge studied Sandy McSuthers' prize-fighting face as he leaned against the open doorway. Their eyes met, and he lifted his glass in salute. Anybody want a drink? Sure, Grace Wexler replied with a giggle, but Jake gave her a cup of strong black coffee and said, We must keep our wits about us, Mr. McSuthers, Judge Ford said. walking toward him. Sam Westing has not made his final move. Gotta clear my head, he replied. He took a long swig, coughed, wiped his mouth on the sleeve of his uniform, and glared at Crow with narrow, watery eyes. Theo grinned down at the chess table. White had made another move, a careless move. He licked the cake crumbs from his fingers, his hands on Westing paper tea napkin, and took his opponent's queen from the board. At least he had won the chess game. Perched on the corner of table 8, the young lawyer tried to start a conversation with Angela, ignoring Sidel Pulaski, who had twice asked, "Surely you must have the answer, Mr. Plum," she nudged her partner. "Surely you must have the answer," Angela repeated. "Oh, of course, at least I assume I do," he replied. "My instructions are to open the documents one by one at the scheduled time." He checked his watch. Oops, he was 1 minute late. Ed Plum hurried to the billboard table, tore open the next envelope, pulled out the document, cutting his finger on the paper's edge. 14. Go directly to the library. Do not pass go.